All right, Jesse on Fire. So we're going to do a follow-up to the video that I did yesterday about Andrew Tate, and I'm going to talk about Tristan Tate today because there's an interview that I just watched that Andrew Tate did that tells me so much about Tristan Tate's character because this has to do with him in jail. This has to do with Tristan Tate in jail and what it means and what it shows when a person gets tested in the way that he was and the way that he reacted to it. Because my hypothesis essentially is that you don't really know what someone's built out of until you see them tested. And in many cases, how they react to a specific type of test demonstrates literally everything about them. Not only everything about them, but it shows their character. And then it also shows what the driving force behind their life is in many cases. And this is one of those. And honestly, it has to do with a person's relationship with their family. And I thought about this a bunch, man, because there was a moment last year when another person who had been heavily persecuted by a different government, ours, was in the box, really in the box, taking a bunch of pressure. And they were talking about bringing their family in to do X, Y, Z. And I don't want to step on the video, but I thought of a situation that would seem like it would be a terrible nightmare scenario for the family member. And I realized it's actually the opposite of that, because it would give them the ability to show the entire world, but more importantly, their family, exactly who they are. And so that's what we're going to talk about here. And I'm not, normally I do like a subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to do any of that on this video. I think this is important enough to just cruise right through it and, rock and roll. So the story that I'm referring to, Andrew Tate did on the Patrick David podcast on Valuetainment. And that was a really interesting video in general, or appearance, because he was so back and forth. It's like, okay, which Andrew are we getting in this interview, right? It's like if you keep him on topic and you really keep him speaking about large scale issues, things that really matter, he's fantastic. And then like he would come back to, I'm the greatest at blah, blah. It's like one of those things where it's like, dude, you don't need to say this anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand on the way up. It's like, I'm the greatest at this, like I crushed them. It's like, dude, at this point, it goes without saying. And saying it actually, it kind of almost cheapens it now. Dude, we know you're an exceptional strategist. You're amazing in interviews. You see them setting you up and you're prepared. You don't give them sound bites that they can use against you unless they are absolutely, completely deceptively edited. And it's impressive. But then there's this other side of him that I think is just unnecessary. As an example, and this was outside of that interview, but as an example, if you guys saw the thing that he did where he had the Vice guy who had done that hit piece on him, and he invited him out to do another interview, and he got the guy, he comes out, and then he made him just sit there at the front gate, right? He made him sit there at the front gate for hours and hours and hours and made it pretend like they were going to come out and get him. He made him bring him a box of chocolates, and then they just sat there and ate the chocolates and laughed at the guy, right? It's like, that was funny, that was funny for sure, but I don't know. I don't like bullies, man. That's the whole thing. I don't like bullies, dude. I don't like bullies. Even if the response is merited, Vice, they took a big shot at him, a really disrespectful, very intentional, dirty swipe at him. Very disingenuous, very, deceptively edited, selectively chose people to participate that were going to try to make him look bad. They didn't represent him in a good light at all. And it was, you could say that thing that they put out was borderline just lies, you know? And I mean, in many cases was lies. So it's like you already exposed that. And there are plenty of things that you could do to embarrass a guy with phone calls, stuff like that. But I don't know, like watching that video, I was like, this is funny. And then once the guy was actually there and they're like just sitting there and laughing at the guy and he's standing out there, he wants to come in. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't respond well to shit like that. You know, I hate bullies, man. I hate bullies. And that's why I identify with Andrew Tate when they are bullying him, when they're going after him and it's very clear that they're being disingenuous going after, you know what I mean? Like, then I'm like, I'm on his side. When he does stuff like that, I'm like, dude, come on, man. I don't know. That's just me. It's neither here nor there, but I just felt like that side of him was coming out sometimes in the Patrick David interview, but most of the time he was on topic and just sounded really, really sharp, and I identified with him. And especially when he was talking about when he was in jail, right? And he's talking about his mental state in jail versus Tristan's, right? Which is kind of like the point of this video. He said that he was spinning himself up all the time, right? He's just spinning himself up all the time. Like he needs to get out. Oh, maybe they're going to let me out. Maybe they're going to not. Maybe they're going to do this. That is just exactly how I would be. You know, if I were in Andrew's position, if it was me and like my younger brother, exactly how I would be. I would be spinning myself up. I'd be thinking about every single possible thing. I'd be feeling like I needed to call somebody, like I need to do something to affect the outcome here. Like I need to like do something. I need to take action to solve this problem. I can't just sit here. And he said that Tristan was just chilling the whole time. Like he did not care that he was in jail. He didn't care. He said that he was totally relaxed. He was having a good time. They at one point offered Tristan to be able to leave while Andrew had to stay. And he said that Tristan was like, I'm not leaving without my brother under any circumstances. So, you know, they're in a Romanian jail, hell on earth, right? Locked in a room for the entire, as far as I understand it, basically the whole day. I mean, I would imagine there's not many, I mean, especially for those two guys, they're used to like moving, man. And he's like, no, I won't leave without my brother. And it wasn't even like a thing. He's just like, no, I won't leave without my brother. And he just said he was completely content that whole time, chilling in jail. He said he would have stayed there forever with Andrew if Andrew was stuck there. And I thought about that after, like, not just that he said he would stay there, right? Because there are other examples of people doing things like that. You know, like when John McCain was in a POW camp in Vietnam, and his dad was an admiral, and they offered to let him go. And he was like, I'm not leaving without my men. And he ended up stuck there for whatever. I can't remember the exact number, like something like 7 years or something. I don't know. That might be misquoting the years, but a long, long, long time. Tortured, you know, went through, I mean, much worse than a Romanian jail, I would imagine. And that's obviously one of the most admirable things that a person could do is absorb punishment versus letting themselves off the hook and leaving their comrade or their brother or whatever to suffer through the thing that they're kind of relieving themselves of. Especially in like John McCain's case, where he honestly could probably do more good if he would have left. Potentially do something to identify where they are, to go do a rescue or something. But I mean, how do you not respect that? And in the Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate situation, I thought about that, like how relaxed he is, right? And not only is it incredibly admirable, not only is it an incredibly admirable, admirable trait that demonstrates blind loyalty, unbreakable bond, unbreakable loyalty to his brother, but also I think that people like Tristan and potentially people like Andrew also, just, you know, if it was a reverse situation, and people like me in some ways would be grateful for a situation like that. I mean, because I'll tell you exactly what I mean when I bring myself into it, because like I said, this is a thought exercise that I went through, a couple of years ago. And I'll explain exactly why it's the same. Because how else can you demonstrate in real time, in actual real time, what you're willing to do for someone in your family like that, you know? Like, you could say whatever you want. You'd be like, man, if you were locked in a jail, I would go do the time with you. Or you could say, I mean, you could make up any number of scenarios where you would go through a hardship in order to just, you know, to either try to get them out of their situation or go through it with them versus abandoning them. And so anybody can say whatever they want, but it's only through a situation like that where you actually get tested. There's no talk. You either did or you didn't, right? You either were or weren't down to do this. If you guys get arrested on a crime and you're facing 10 years in prison, you can flip on them. You can flip on your brother and you'll get out. Or you can keep your mouth shut and you could go do 10 years versus giving your brother life in prison or something. You know what I mean? Like things like that are real, genuine tests. Are you willing to go through that in order to protect the people that you love? And I just think it's notable and commendable because those are the kinds of traits that I respect in people more than any other in the world. And like the reason why I brought myself into this just in terms of like, you know, I'd be grateful for it is the thing I was thinking about when I went through this thought exercise a couple of years ago was, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but it was something having to do with the president before Biden. And they were talking about subpoenaing Don Jr., right? They were going to subpoena him and try to make him testify in front of Congress about this, that, or the other, you know, probably some, you know, Russiagate stuff or something. I don't know. So it was something like that. But I remember having this conversation with someone and just being like, dude, I wish they would, dude, for me. Like, I wish they would, dude. I wish that they were trying to put my father in jail. Like, I wish this would happen. I honestly do. I wish they were trying to put my father in jail and they parade me up in front of the entire world, sit me in a seat, ask me questions, tell me I'm going to jail if I don't answer them. I don't care how long. Answer or you're going to jail. And in front of the entire world, every person on earth, I get to show I'm not going to tell you nothing. I won't tell you a thing. You could throw me in jail for 20 years. I will never give you information on my dad. Never. I don't care. Put me in front. Do whatever you want. Handcuff me to the chair. Ask me any of your questions. Threaten me with prison. Threaten me with whatever. I'm never talking. Ever. You're asking me questions about my father? My father? I'll never give you information on him. Absolutely never. There's nothing you could ask. There's nothing you could say. There's nothing you could threaten me with. Nothing. You won't get a word out of me. Not one. It's my dad. It's my father. You think I'm going to give him up for you? Never. Never. So like, you could never have the opportunity to prove that kind of like love, loyalty, and you know, just the bond that what they mean to you, right? Like, I'm not, you know, the whole world, cool that they see it, but to that person, there's no way to prove what they mean to you in a more meaningful way than if you're given the opportunity to take it directly on the chin for them. You know what I mean? You could say you love them, you could show them you love them, and you do. But there's no way to prove it unless they put you in a situation like that where you either are going to go down with the ship to protect them or you're not. You know? You're either going to go down with the ship or you're not. And so Tristan chilling in jail with his brother, completely relaxed, demonstrates that he's a guy that's like, if I'm with Andrew, I'm chilling, dude. I don't care. If my brother's going through it, I'm along for the ride. He's, you know, and think about what it's like if Andrew Tate's your older brother. You know, like Andrew Tate's your older brother and he loves you more than anything. He's a pretty serious guy. You know what I mean? And obviously Tristan is a very serious guy also, who loves his brother to the point where he will just kick back, chillax, lay in bed, and just chill in jail because he's in it. He's in it with his brother. His brother, dude. I just think that's gangster as fuck. So, anyway, I don't know. Like, I have a brother. Also, I have a little brother. Probably a similar age difference to those two. Those kinds of things. Those like, you know what I mean? Those get me right there when I think about them. Like, my favorite moment in the history of the NFL ever is the moment in the Super Bowl in 07. I think it's 07, when the Giants were playing the undefeated Patriots, right? And the Patriots had knocked out the Colts the week before in the NFC Championship. I'm pretty sure that they had not. And Peyton Manning obviously was the quarterback for the Colts. And so the Super Bowl was the Giants against the Patriots. And Eli Manning was a quarterback for the Giants. And, they were massive underdogs. The Patriots were undefeated going into the Super Bowl. They hadn't lost a single game that entire year. And there's this moment where Eli completed this pass to Plaxico Burress that I'm pretty sure they scored on. They either scored or it was like down to like the 1, and it was some huge play. Like, I don't remember the exact details of the play. It was a bananas play though, like really down to the wire. Absolutely massive play. And they showed the box that Peyton Manning was in. You know, Eli's his little brother. And they showed his reaction, and it was like, oh man, Peyton Manning was whatever to me his entire career. I was always just like, all right, he's obviously very good, but I didn't care one way or the other. But when they showed his reaction to that play, I was like, fuck, I'll root for that guy forever now. He, like, you could just see, and he lost his mind, He literally jumped out of his chair. His little brother completes that pass, and he's like, fuck yeah. I was like, come on, son. I love that kind of shit, man. And then Eli Manning, if you guys have never seen it, did, just since we're on the Mannings, he did the funniest skit in the history of SNL. And you wouldn't think of him like that because he's like, you don't think of his personality kind of like that. But no joke, the Eli Manning skit on SNL about the courtroom with the text messages, if you've never seen that, I cannot stress this enough. We're almost done with this video anyway. Immediately go watch that. I've probably seen it 1,000 times. I laugh every single time. So you just look up SNL, Eli Manning courtroom, and just watch that. If you don't laugh at that, there is something seriously wrong with you. It's impossible. It's impossible. Not one person who watches this channel will not like hysterically laugh at that skit. It's so fucking funny, dude. Eli Manning, SNL, courtroom. Anyway, so that is what I've got. Tristan Tate's a stud, and that's it. Don't give him information on your dad or your brother. Love you guys. Peace.